Good afternoon. Welcome back to AM 1410 WRMN in Elgin. It's Wednesday afternoon. Not a bad day outside as far as the weather is concerned. Guys out there listening, girls out there listening, you guys want to lose weight fast, get rich quick, look young forever? You know what show it is. It's time for the Laura Dion Jones Show. Laura, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm absolutely, incredibly fabulous.
Oh,
Thank you for asking.
I thought you were going to say the M word, but that's
M word?
Marvy.
Marvy? No, I'm saving that one for next week. The F word today. Fabulous.
Looking great as always, Laura. Welcome back to WRMN.
Thank you. And all I can say is you better be careful of what you ask for, because I asked for this cooler weather to finally set in, and look what we got.
Hey, I'm happy. Good sleeping weather, good working out weather.
I
agree.
Okay. I agree. I have a lot of people that, follow me, and they're like, you're right, it's good weather to get out and work out. And
it's the weather that comes after this I'm afraid of. The sub-zero and the sub-freezing weathers. I'm not looking forward to that. This weather is great. Good golfing, good baseball, good football.
Good walking.
Good rowing, whatever you're going to do
outside.
Cardio,
yeah, dog walking.
And like I said, good sleeping at night with your windows open weather.
Listen, anyone heard about how Dorothy Schnelly is?
She's fine.
Is she fine? Everything.
Yeah, I've actually seen her since that 2-day episode.
Did you tell that I was asking for her?
Yeah, it was high on my list, and yes.
Pinky Swear, you told her?
I went to school with Pinky Swear, that little girl. Yeah, I know I've communicated with them. She's in good shape.
And listen, how about The Good Wife this past Sunday night?
It was excellent, but it's the most hyped show for 10.7 million rating. There was no rating at all.
It was hot. Are you kidding me?
Well, the Mentalists
the three ladies in the studio here, we were just commiserating about. We were fanning ourselves.
Okay, but they
got us hooked all over again.
It is, but I
what
thought
are you getting at? You don't like it?
No, it was fine, but they promoted that more heavily than any show in the history of CBS, and not promoting.
You're saying it's all hype?
No, but it should have delivered like...
My best friend Julia and Margulies?
No. It should have delivered like 13 million folks, even in a limited household of television now, because it was endless promotion. The Mentalists, which they hardly touched, drew 13.6 million, and you got 10.7 for The Good Wife in a great time slot, for heaven's sake.
How do you know all this?
Well, because it's all on Wednesdays, USA Today.
What are you guys talking about?
Oh, it's
The Good Wife.
Television.
When is
Sunday night.
Sunday night at 8.
Oh, no, there was a Colts game on there.
That's right. NBC
Colts,
does well.
Who's the Colts?
Football is the only successful NBC show. Even Harry's Law doesn't do that well.
And the guy from the Colts has one of my favorite quotes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, rub a little dirt on it and get back in there.
Yeah, well, he's out for the year, though. It's a great line, but he's out for the year.
That's too bad.
He should have rubbed some dirt on it.
And so, listen, we have a lot to talk about. We have a jam-packed show. One thing I do want to get in is in the weekly economic message to Washington, our friend Scott Pelley had on billionaire founder of BET, Black Entertainment Network, Robert L. Johnson, and he has some advice for Congress and the president.
Wonderful.
So now Johnson is chairman of RLJ because he sold BET, and when he asked for his take on the country's growing debt, he said, imagine a group of people go to a restaurant and they start eating, but they don't have enough money to pay the bill. Has that ever happened to us? Never.
No.
So when the waiter comes with the bill, they don't want to make the sacrifice of paying, so they keep ordering. And that's what we're doing. We just keep piling on debt and costs because we don't want to make the hard choices. He says both Democrats and Republicans think each has the right solution, but neither do. Now, this is Robert L. Johnson's opinion, not mine, but mine's kind of close. We don't have the leadership in either party to rebuild the economy. Till then, we're going to be stuck. Johnson further says, sacrifice this to the politicians. Sacrifice your political job for the job the American people want you to do. Be willing to be a one-term congressman, a one-term president, or a one-term senator. Please take the position that the issues before the country are far greater than me returning to D.C. and starting on the same old treadmill all over again. And I say, I'd say it to each politician. They should be doing all doing the same thing. Get her done, as our favorite old pal Larry the Cable Guy says. Get her done, boys and girls. Because this thing is it's out of hand. But anyway, you got any opinion quickly?
I would have to agree with you. I would, I'm not sure if I believe in term limits. I believe in getting the job done.
We need a Mr. Smith or a Ms. Dion goes to Washington kind of a person.
What happened to the phrase, finish what you started?
Yeah, that's true, too.
Okay, so maybe they need more than 4 years of their term to finish what they started, although a lot of times they don't need that much time, but suppose they do start something, there's a war going on, now you have to finish what you started.
Yeah.
There's different reasons.
I agree. And I also heard a rumor that somebody at City Hall, what are they smoking there? Want to put toll booths on Lakeshore Drive?
Really?
Did you hear that? Why are you laughing
Well, we
slyly
say
and
City Hall, we
wryly?
think of Elgin.
I was
You're
thinking
in
of-
No,
Chicago.
downtown,
You get some originalism
Rambo,
there.
excuse me,
Sorry.
Rambo City Hall. I
We're just a
forgot.
local radio
I'm dual citizenship.
I know.
I'm Elginite and Chicagoan.
You caught us with the license.
Toll on Route
requirement.
20, really? What's going on?
That's
On
right.
Lakeshore Drive.
Think, well,
yeah.
Sean Stiegel's gone crazy.
And the Chicago Marathon Kids is only 2 short weeks away, and one of my very favorite personal trainer friends who is running in the Chicago Marathon, her name is Elaine Brennan, and she's going to be joining us in studio next Wednesday.
Good,
You're going to
good.
love her.
Uh-huh.
To talk a little fitness, and then we're going to race over to ECC for my Commit to Get Fit class after the show to teach all, and she's going to teach all my students, my student, Bobby,
You're that German professor.
how to effectively weight train. I do a mean Ivana Trump. Don't get me started.
This is the best vehicle for it, is it not? Got the YouTube camera going. Got batteries, don't you?
So she's going to teach all my class how to weight train effectively at home using simple tools and things that you might have on hand, bands and little weights and whatnot. Anyway, the other day I ran into Elaine on my way in. Exactly. Bottles of water. I mean, you use what you got. Who said that? Andy Rooney.
Oh, he's retiring this week.
Yes.
92.
And you know
ever
what?
wonder
I love
why
him.
we
I
never
love
get
him.
airtime.
And here he says, you know what his big quote is? Work with what you got.
Work with what you got.
So that's what we're going to have Elaine do. She's going to show everybody how to work with what they got. So anyway, I run into her the other morning on my way into the club, and when I hugged her, she said, "Oh, be careful, I'm all sweaty. I just ran 18 miles on the lakefront."
Wow.
You know, a training. Could you just
She
puke?
could run to the studios next.
Could you
couldn't
just faint from that? Vic, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, have her run at least halfway.
I know. We could get her on YouTube.
That's right.
So anyway, and guess what her email is?
IRunALot.com.
No, gotta run.
Oh.
Hey, there you go. Also, her license plates.
Switching gears a little. Remember the newest Medal of Honor winner, our pal Marine Dakota Meyer, the Kentucky farm boy?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's applied to be a New York City fireman.
Oh,
He
nice.
wants to continue
He's a
to help.
shoo-in.
That's right.
Well, you know, maybe he needs a little, I don't know, more what?
He was on Letterman. He got
Training?
some,
Excitement? How was he on Letterman? Was
I
he
fell
good?
asleep, I must confess. Sorry, David's on late. But he did make that New York appearance last week.
That's wonderful. Well, we've got a terrific show today for you, and something for the boys and something for the girls. And our special in-studio guest today is Lynne Bosley from the United Way of Elgin. And wait till you hear her resume. Lynne's joining us to discuss all the great things happening locally at the United Way of Elgin and the organization's 2011 fundraising drive. I know almost nothing about the United Way, so I'm looking forward to her interview. How about you kids?
Oh, absolutely.
Because, we want to know. And it's we talked in the green room before. It's a few things that she just takes for granted,
Uh-huh.
And then joining us right after the half via phone is James Finn Garner. Remember him? He's a former house painter, baker, warehouse clerk, and now he's a very famous writer and author. So that just goes to show you.
James Garner, was he on the Rockford Files?
That's right.
Yeah, but this is James Finn, his younger brother.
Okay.
He's a very good sports writer.
And
that's a good
isn't
show.
he? Isn't he?
Yeah, we saw him when he did that Lovable Losers series in
Yes.
Chicago.
And his last masthead credit was contributing editor of Chicago Magazine, and he has a brand new book called Honk, Honk, My Darling. And I wonder what that's all about. He said he's going to tell me. So we'll also be discussing his ever-popular Bard Ball website and project. Remember that?
That's good stuff.
It's a connection between baseball and poetry, between the love of the game and the love of language. And the stuff on his site is pretty hilarious. And so I've asked Jim to pick out a risque one or two to tell us about later today, and he'll explain. And I said, make him risque. And he goes, really? And I said, yeah, I want to leave everybody with a smile on their face. They're cooking the hus dinner, and I want them laughing. Hus comes home from work. What are you up to, Mabel? How come you got that big smile on your face?
Well, those would be funny, not risque, wouldn't they?
Well, I was listening
Witty.
to Laura Dion
Oh,
Jones.
you were listening to Laura again. I can tell because the look on your face. Good for us.
In the studio with us today are Mike Hunziker, my great guy pal sidekick and trusty board man, and Jeff Myers, my sensational co-host, and of course, our YouTube camera girl, our very favorite Valerie the Swan. And stick around, kids. We've got a whole lot of talking lined up for you today. You're listening to the Laura Dion Jones Show on WRMN 1410 AM, and meanwhile, back at the WRMN Ranch.
We're doing two spots today, aren't we?
Yes,
With
sir.
Clara Leas, of course. So I got a little note from Clara Leas. Look at that right there. See that? That's her phone number. Do you see it? 847-888-9988 for Dr. Clara Leas. Now, when you talk about chiropractic, Diva. All right. Get the camera over there. There's Exhibit A. She's the Harry's Law. She's the good wife of chiropractic care right there, all put together. She's the mentalist as well. Dr. Claire Lace is taking care of your posture, and we worked every CBS show we can think of.
And
She's the person of interest when it comes to that. 847-888-9988. That's Dr. Claire Lace, well known in town. She's been a dancer her whole life here in Elgin. She's paid tolls in cable, but never extra tolls here. I mean, in Chicago, we should say, and other places. But Dr. Claire Lace, right there, she's at 2001 Larkin Avenue. You've got a former guest that is now a sponsor.
Yes,
is that right?
I do.
And one of your good friends, isn't that YouTube camera lady? You can wave up and down with the camera so we know. Okay. For all the teens who want great driver's education, you should call Azarella. And now Azarella is a good friend. You talked with her extensively, did you not?
Oh,
it's
sure.
Azarel. She is she got that Arela. Our low rate is only $3.99 for 36 hours. Is far less than when you might have to pay at your high school. That's great. You said how you wouldn't want your youngster sitting down with the PE coach, who would also double as teaching how to drive.
Driver's ed? Well,
yeah.
I don't know. My PE coach taught me how to drive, but he was nothing like Linda Azzarella's driving school.
We need a new judge on this case.
What's her name? What's her slogan?
Azarella. She's learned how to drive and survive. That's great. Learn how to drive and survive. That would have done you well in high school, young man. Next class begins not too far up the calendar date, October 3rd at 7 o'clock. You can call Azarella at 847. Now get this number down. 847-373-4137. And this would include anybody who's thinking about learning how to drive.
Absolutely, without question. She's got 90-year-olds. She's got 19-year-olds. She gets the kids ready for the driving test. She teaches them also some self-defense because of the bullying and road rage situations, and teaches them avoidance, confrontation or conflict avoidance. I mean, she's really cool. You get a lot of bang for your buck.
And the seniors, you talked about the seniors. If I'm 75 and think I should have get behind the wheel and
a refresher.
She's perfect for that as well, because you told that
Absolutely,
story.
Without question. And I need to go take a parallel parking lesson from her. But anyway,
I'm having taking my driving test.
Welcome to the Laura Dion Jones Show, Linda Azarella.
847-373-4137.
And would also like to thank snobhounds.com, a canine clothing company. Think Nike meets Donna Karan, but for canines. Snobhounds is true environmental protection wear. Winter's on its way, so protect them pooches. And would also like to thank KC Tool, an automotive specialty tool company available through your Snap-on mobile tool distributor. And a very special thank you to Casey for making this show and all of our shows possible. And I've got to talk real fast because we got a whole lot of ground to cover.
Okay.
It's time for Laura's Motivational Minute. Quote of the week. Who said, are you ready? You're never going to get this
I'm
one.
ready. I was ready this morning.
Success is measured in terms of reaching your goals, dreams, and expectations. Your success is determined by hard work, persistence, and determination. Ooh. If you are going to be a success in life, it's up to you. It is your responsibility.
That's not a statement. That's a short book.
Loopholes.
It's slightly more exaggerated with more accent. Ozigian.
Hey, not bad.
Yeah.
Quite that way, but similar.
The author's name is Will Horton, and I say it doesn't matter if you have 10 pounds to lose or 100. It's all relative, and it's sometimes every bit as big of a big book.
That's an author from last week.
Is that part of the quote?
Well, it was. What?
What?
And sometimes it's every bit as big of a struggle for the 10-pounders as it is for someone just beginning their weight loss and wellness journey who needs to lose 100-plus pounds. For each person, it always looks like overwhelming odds when you decide to begin, or regardless. I can always help point the way for you with my Commit to Get Fit classes and motivational articles, but it's your personal responsibility to get there. Be persistent, be determined, and in the end, it's all up to you. Huh. So now go and read my motivational blog so you get the rest of that piece of motivation on elgin.bocajump.com. Under blogs, look for my name. And now that we got that out of the way, it's time for our very special guest today. Please let's give a warm LDJ welcome to Lynne Bosley from the United Way of Elgin. Welcome, Lynne.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us today. You look beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Great. This lady has some gorgeous highlighted hair and like a beautiful young Ann Mira.
Oh, yeah. Still in Mira comedy.
Am I good or what?
Oh, it used to be Susan Sarandon.
Oh my God.
Well.
Yeah, but
you're
so tall. But you're tall. Susan's not tall.
Okay.
But yeah, I could see where they would say you look like Susan Sarandon also. But that's why I prefaced it with a beautiful, young Ann Mira.
For Mike Bull Durham, Susan Sarandon's dad. That's who
gosh,
she's
yes,
looks
You
like.
know who
Summer,
that is.
I
Bull
don't
Durham, one of my
know.
favorite movies.
Summer of '88. I saw her in it. Oh, I mean, sorry, that was. Susan.
So, Lynn, okay, tell us a little bit about yourself because I don't want to do all the talking and bragging. I know you've got quite a resume. Just give us the Cliff Notes because you got a big one.
Well, I don't know how big it is.
It's interesting. I'm very admirous. Is that a word?
It is now.
Admirous.
That's a boat.
I've been a United Way professional all of my adult life. It's the only career I've ever had. I've been with United Way for, 30 plus years.
My
I've
God.
sort of lost track a little bit. I started in Owensboro, Kentucky as a resource development director, became an executive director in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and the United Way of Elgin was my third job, and I will celebrate my 10th anniversary on Saturday, October the 1st.
Wow.
So working with communities, trying to improve lives through the United Way has really been my life's work.
What a job. What a career. What a vocation. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
For myself and the kids in the studio here and everybody listening, could you please tell us a little bit about what United Way of Elgin is?
Sure, I would be glad to. United Way of Elgin is a community-based nonprofit organization. We've been here since 1924. When we started, like most United Ways, we were simply a fundraising organization. We raised money on behalf of other nonprofits in the community, and we gave that money away. So it was have a campaign every fall, distribute it the next year to nonprofits. And that's the business model that we worked under for a number of years, decades. But in the late 90s and the early 2000s, we began to see that was not the best business model for us, just raising and distributing money. There were too many needs. The dollars were becoming harder and harder to raise, and we didn't have a lot of focus.
Even in the early 90s, the dollars were becoming
late
harder?
90s.
Late 90s, I'm sorry.
And so we started to think about there must be a better way to do this. Instead of just trying to give a little bit to a lot of organizations, we began to focus on what are the community's most critical needs and how can we go about addressing those, both through financial resources but also through volunteer opportunities, through bringing people together to focus on what we want to be as a community and how we take care of the people in our community, and not just through United Way but through working with city government, working with educational institutions, whether that's the school district or the universities, but pulling folks together to say where are the greatest needs and what can we do to solve those problems. And that in our system we call that community impact, and we sort of changed our focus and began to focus in three primary areas, and that's education, income, and health. And those three areas were selected because we think that they're the building blocks for a good life for people and for building a strong community. And in addition to narrowing our focus, we developed very specific goals for our organization and hopefully for the community around those three areas. Getting kids ready to learn, making sure that all children who enter kindergarten are ready to learn and possess the skills that they need to succeed. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Staying in school to succeed so that the kids have after-school opportunities, mentoring opportunities, places to go where they're safe, and they can continue through middle school, high school, graduate. Financial stability is helping people stand on their own, be able to take care of their families, whether that's through improving their skills so they can get better jobs. All of our emergency assistance, safety net services fall under our income, and we can come back to that if we have time, under our Income Impact Council. And then in the healthcare area, it's really just ensuring access to quality primary health care, mental health care, and dental health care for people in our community, dental health care particularly in the area of children, pediatric dental care.
Does income level matter for those who you help?
We are not, in most cases, we are not direct service providers. We do have some initiatives like our Dolly Parton Imagination Library where we register children in the community and send free books from birth to age 5. But essentially, we don't provide direct services. We support the agencies through the resources that we generate, mostly through the campaign, but sometimes through grant writing to organizations like the Community Crisis Center, the YMCA, the YWCA, 19 different partner agencies. So we, through an investment process where they come in and tell us, okay, here's how many kids that we serve in the area of early childhood education, and we're going to get these 221 kids or 225 kids ready for school. So when you look at One Hope United and their daycare program, then we measure that. They say all of our kids are going to be ready, and they test them, they measure them, because if they don't meet what they tell us they're going to do, then we have to sit down and have some tough conversations.
Say, well, give us some of that money back.
I mean, it's just it just doesn't work anymore to say we do good work, and so you should support us. Donors expect more. Certainly, our corporate partners expect more. If you're going to go into a company or even to an individual and say, "Thank you for your $100 last year. Can you give me $125 this year?" They say, "Well, how did my gift make a difference?" You have to be able to tell them, and you have to be able to tell them specifically. Because if we don't, they'll find somebody that can, because they want to know. They want a good return on their investment.
But that meaning a better community,
right?
Uplifted community.
They want measurable change. They don't just want to throw money at problems.
What are some of our community's needs?
Well, again,
the most important that comes to mind for you.
Well, certainly since 2008, we have seen such a dramatic increase in the need for what we call safety net services, and that's food, rent, and utility assistance, which seems a little bit counter to long-term financial stability, but with unemployment being as high as it is, the foreclosure rate being what it is, people have been struggling to keep their homes, or if they're, in the process of losing that home, finding another place to live, having enough money to pay the rent, keeping food on the table. So you can't really talk to people about long-term financial stability when they can't, they don't know from day to day if they're going to have a roof over their heads. So we have to take care of people where they are and stabilize them before we can sit down and say, what are your job skills? What additional training might you need? Do you need literacy? Do you need a GED? So I guess what we've seen is just a dramatic rise in people looking for those safety net services. I get calls every week from people who say, I used to work at such and such company, and I was a United Way donor for 25 years. I've lost my job. I've got a kid in college, and for the first time, I can't make my mortgage payment. What am I going to do? And they don't know. They don't even know where to go. So that's a huge.
And what do you do them? What do you do for them?
We make referrals. We make referrals to organizations that provide rental assistance. We support programs that do foreclosure counseling, consumer credit counseling. We'll send them to pantries for food. But the reality of it is there's not enough money to help everybody.
Yeah. And even with all the services, because the referrals that you're giving them, those services are getting money from other sources as well.
And everybody's funding is down. And, everyone knows what's happened with state and federal funding for health and human services. We're always the first to get cut. So
isn't that tragic?
Well, it is.
And how does United Way help people improve their health?
Well, we make sure that they have access to healthcare services. Our primary organization that we work with for primary health care is Greater Elgin Family Care Center.
Okay.
So we fund their programs. We have the pediatric dental health program for children at Well Child Center. We have a really neat program that really we don't invest any money in, but it's a prescription discount program.
Wow.
And we have cards that are available to people. The coupon is on our website. And last year, there were about 2,600 prescriptions filled through this FamilyWise card that saved about $71,000 for Elgin residents.
Cool.
And you just take it in, you give it to the pharmacist, and they look it up and see what the discount
And it's
is.
on your website?
It is on our
Tell
website.
Tell people how to find that, because
That
I know
is-
that people will be interested in that.
That is www.uwelgin.org.
Cool. We should talk about me doing my Commit to Get Fit program for the Greater Elgin. Tell me the name. The Greater Elgin.
The healthcare?
Yes.
Greater Elgin Family Care Center.
You know something? I think when I was a student last year in the Elgin Area Leadership Academy, we had a meeting at Sherman, and the CEO of Sherman, the CEO of Provena, and I'm almost positive the guy who was the head of Greater Elgin was there, and they were talking. I'd have to look back in my notes.
I would almost bet that he was.
Yeah. Tell us about your Community Vision Council and the Community Impact Initiative a bit.
Okay. Well, that's how we make the decisions. Lots of people wonder, what happens to my money when I give to United Way? Where does it go? All of those decisions are made by volunteers. And each of our impact councils is comprised of volunteers in the community. They either have experience, expertise, knowledge in one of those three areas, or just a great passion for education. And there are 12 to 15, maybe a little bit, sometimes we go a little higher than that, volunteers that sit on one of those impact councils. They meet every other month. They're constantly scanning the community to see what's going on, if there's a new need that needs to be addressed, talked about. When these proposals come in for funding, they're the ones that